Imagine for a moment. It's the end of World War II. The world is in ruins, Hitler is dead, and the Third Reich has collapsed. The SS, once the most feared military and political force in Nazi Germany, has been dismantled. But what happened to the men who served in it? How do former SS soldiers live today? Their story is not as simple as you might think. The SS, or Schutzstaffel, wasn't just a military unit, it was a symbol of terror. They ran concentration camps, carried out mass executions, and spread fear across Europe. At the war's end in 1945, the Allied forces declared the SS a criminal organization. Technically, anyone who had been a member could be arrested, but in reality, things turned out very differently. A few of the top leaders were captured and put on trial during the Nuremberg proceedings. Men like Heinrich Himmler, Reinhard Heydrich, and others were either dead or sentenced. But here's the twist. Only a tiny fraction of SS soldiers actually faced justice. Out of almost 1 million members, most managed to walk free. Some claimed they were just following orders. Others insisted they were only in administrative roles, not involved in crimes, and many simply vanished into the chaos of post-war Europe, where millions of displaced people made it easy to hide. How do you disappear when you've been part of one of the most notorious organizations in history? For many, the answer was simple. Change your name, move to another city, and start fresh. Thousands of former SS members settled back into German society. Some became farmers, teachers, or factory workers. Outwardly, they looked like normal citizens. But their pasts were buried deep. Others fled much farther. South America countries like Argentina, Brazil, and Chile became safe havens. With the help of underground networks, fake passports, and sometimes even sympathetic officials, former SS men built entirely new lives. Some even rose to power in their new countries, blending into politics, business, and the military. And then came the Cold War. Suddenly, the world was divided between East and West, and the hunt for Nazis wasn't always the top priority. In fact, intelligence agencies like the CIA and KGB sometimes recruited former SS officers for their expertise, whether in espionage, science, or military strategy. The very men once considered criminals were now being quietly protected because they were useful. Back in Germany, many ex-SS men lived surprisingly ordinary lives. In the 1950s and 60s, West Germany was focused on rebuilding, not digging up the past. Communities often turned a blind eye. Neighbors might whisper about someone's history, but few asked questions. Many veterans joined social groups, wrote memoirs, or stayed completely silent, carrying their secrets to the grave. By the 1980s and 90s, however, attitudes began to shift. As Holocaust survivors told their stories and historians dug deeper, the hunt for war criminals reignited. Suddenly, men who had lived peacefully for decades were being dragged into courtrooms as frail old men in wheelchairs. Some argued they were too old to face trial. Others said justice had to be served no matter how much time had passed. So how do former SS soldiers live today in the 21st century? The truth is, only a handful are still alive. Most are in their late 90s or even older. Many live quietly in nursing homes or small towns, far from the spotlight. Some were exposed late in life, facing trial in their 80 or 90. One striking example was Oskar Goerning, known as the bookkeeper of Auschwitz, who was convicted in 2015 at the age of 94. For many others, life has been a strange mix of normality and secrecy. Imagine being a grandfather, playing with your grandchildren, while hiding the fact that you once served in one of the darkest chapters of history. Some family members only learned the truth decades later, after discovering old documents or hearing testimony in court. But here's the deeper question: how do these men feel about their past? Some deny everything, insisting they were never part of crimes. Others express regret, saying they were brainwashed by Nazi propaganda as young men. And a few remain defiantly unrepentant, holding on to extremist beliefs even in old age. What's certain is that their lives can never be truly normal. Every time a trial makes the news, every time a historian uncovers new evidence, the shadows of the past return. So how do former SS soldiers live today? The answer is complicated. Some lived quietly and died without anyone knowing their past. Some face justice after decades of hiding, and some are still alive old men whose memories are filled with a history the world will never forget. Their lives are a reminder that history doesn't just disappear when the war ends. It lingers in courtrooms, in families, and in the conscience of nations. And that leaves us with a question for you. Should these men, no matter how old they are, still be punished for what they did? Or should the past finally rest with them? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video if you found it interesting, and subscribe for more deep dives into history's untold stories.